It's almost sad to think about how fast DC Nation came and went. The programming block had so much potential to become a huge success among the viewers who had enjoyed the previous DC Comics animated projects that have aired and been developed for the Cartoon Network throughout the years. And that was very much the case. People loved the content that they were seeing on the programming block, but unfortunately its run on the channel was ill-fated as it suffered horrible mismanagement from Cartoon Network. Starting with an infamous 3-month hiatus that started on October 2012 that literally came out of nowhere, with no previous announcement from Cartoon Network's part, and a slew of cancellations that caused great animosity within the fanbase, abruptly putting to an end series that had been widely acclaimed by fans and critics like the fantastic Green Lantern the Animated Series and Young Justice. The fact that this last one started airing before the DC Nation block was a thing also didn't really help much. And the cancellation of Beware the Batman came with no surprise, since it was also pulled from Cartoon Network's schedule and put on a hiatus during the middle of its first and only season, only to then return and have its time slot moved to the channel's late night Toonami block, airing its remaining episodes there for pretty much no one to see, making its eventual cancellation seem like an obvious thing. What started as a promising opportunity to get more DC animated content than ever before ended up ironically taking away much of the cartoons that we were already enjoying on the channel, souring the long-standing relationship between DC and Cartoon Network. But still, it has to be said that even if the management of the programming block by Cartoon Network's part was exasperatingly awful, the actual content that was being produced by DC Nation was far from what you'd call bad. As a matter of fact, pretty much all of the animated shorts that were being aired were absolutely fantastic, with all of them featuring really interesting interpretations of their comic book source material, and a lot of them showing real potential to become full-fledged shows. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today. We're going to be ignoring Teen Titans Go as much as possible, and we're going to basically daydream. So sit down if you weren't for some reason, and clench your ass cheeks real tight, cause we going in. If you're a lifelong comic book fan, you might find it a bit unfortunate how many characters that are mainstays and relatively iconic and classic members of their respective comic book universes are put to the side and rarely given any spotlight or chance to shine. One such character in the DC universe is Ray Palmer, the Atom, one of the Justice League's earliest members and one of the first few to expand the roster after the founding members, alongside other Silver Age superheroes like Green Arrow, Hawkman, and Black Canary. It's just pretty depressing how some classic characters are rarely ever given much of a chance to shine. So you'd imagine I was pretty stoked when I saw that they were adapting one of the Atom's most iconic stories, Sword of the Atom, in which he gets stuck in his tiny size and can't grow back to normal, and he's captured by a tiny alien species that's living in the Amazon rainforest. And they make him fight like Russell Crowe, and they only made 4 shorts and never finished the story. That sucks. The shorts were just a solid action-adventure premise accompanied by some very good animation. It just leaves you wanting to see the story completed as a miniseries. I mean, come on DC, you barely ever give the Atom some love, and when you finally do, you cut him short? That's bullshit, man. The majority of the DC Nation shorts were comedic and lighthearted. And while I understand that more often than not, when you go into a superhero cartoon, you're expecting something more action-oriented, there's still nothing wrong with a good laugh now and again, man. Besides, superheroes as concepts lend themselves very well to be taken either seriously or comedically. I mean, if we're being honest here, they all pretty much have some inherently silly elements to them. You know, some more than others most definitely, but they all have a silly side. So take a look at Animal Man. Sure, they could have gone for a considerably more fucked up route, like way fucked up. But instead they had to take the character with levity in a more tongue-in-cheek way, since with the majority of these shorts they were targeting to younger audiences. And I do admit, for the most part these shorts came off as more charming than actually funny to me, but I still have to realize that I'm not the target demographic here. And even if the comedy doesn't really get to me, I can still enjoy the cartoon on some other level and appreciate some of the details, like New Teen Titans, numerous comic book Easter eggs, or Super Pet's art style, resembling that of Tiny Titans. But Animal Man, he amuses me. This amuses me. To have him literally be a superhero for animals is a very funny thought, and the execution of the jokes were done very well and followed through with the concept. And it also doesn't hurt that he was voiced by the one and only Weird Al. What else can I say? I just want more. There's some funny bullshit. Another thing that I liked very much about these shorts is the variety in styles and the freedom they gave the animators behind these projects to put their own spin to the classic DC heroes. And Deadman's interpretation by C.H. Greenblatt is just too goddamn charming, man. I mean, come on. You might know C.H. Greenblatt as the creator of the fantastic cartoons Chowder and Harvey Beaks. And just like he did with those shows, here he comes up with something that's endearing, pretty cute, and still very funny, all done in a very unique and pleasing art style. Even though it might seem like there's not that much that you could expand with this idea if you were to make it a full show. I mean, the plots are very thin and the cast of characters is only comprised by Deadman and his friend, a crow, just a regular crow. I still think that the show's style and sense of humor is strong enough to carry a series. Besides, Cartoon Network has had much success with previous shows that put a comedic spin into terrifying concepts like death before, so who knows? History might repeat itself here. Okay, so I know how people usually complain a lot when DC continues to overlook its immense catalog of properties and characters in favor for giving Batman another movie or show. We all know how they like to saturate the market with Batman.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one. And another one.
But dude, look at this. Just look at this. If your dick isn't touching the ceiling right now, you might not be a man. This is just fucking awesome, man. Look at that. It's fucking insane, dude. There's just no other words to describe it. Holy shit. I mean, if they're never gonna stop making Batman cartoons, which they won't, they want to get paid, of course, they should at least try to make every new iteration as different from the last as possible, to maintain the concept fresh and interesting. And what better way there would be to shake things up than with the Elseworlds show, taking the character and world of Batman and setting it in a new alternate reality where Batman kicks ass in a 1930s Shanghai. Also worth noting is that the animation studio behind these shorts, Wolfsmoke, is also located in Shanghai, I believe. So yeah, we all know that we're gonna get a new Batman cartoon eventually. So to have it be something more unexpected and out of the norm would be a very nice change of pace. And if they were to take these particular series of shorts and expand them into a full show, it would be very cool. And even if they don't, some of the people from the studio that worked on this series of shorts have also made some comics set in this world that they created, expanding the idea a little further. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. They're pretty cool. To this day, I still can't believe that Wonder Woman has never had her own animated show. It just astounds me. I mean, we were talking earlier about how classic fan favorite B-list characters like the Atom get overlooked. But to put to the side a pop culture icon and one of the most recognizable comic book characters of all time should be considered a crime for just being downright stupid. I mean, she's part of the Trinity, for God's sake. Aquaman, Plastic Man, and even Swamp Thing have had cartoons, but not Wonder Woman? What the fuck? And yeah, using a little bit of critical thinking here, it's not very hard to understand why it has never happened yet. As we all know, toy sales and merchandising play a huge part in the earnings of a cartoon series. So to have a defined target demographic is something very important for a show. That's why there's such a clear distinction between boys shows and girls shows. So you'd imagine that an action cartoon, which are always targeted almost exclusively to boys, with a female protagonist, would be a very tricky situation for a studio executive. They just can't really process that shit. But there still have been exceptions to the rule over time, even more so in recent years. And to have the most popular superheroine star in her own action cartoon would certainly help the situation. And if it were to be based on these shorts, it would also be very cool, man. They were directed by Robert Valley, who has a very unique and distinct art style and visual aesthetic. And it also tried to replicate the style of 70s cop TV shows like Starsky and Hutch, which oddly fits Wonder Woman for some reason. I mean, she has an invisible car. It's fucking cool. Remember at the beginning when I said that we were gonna daydream basically? Because there's no way in hell Doom Patrol would ever get their own cartoon. They really should. I mean, the crazy plots they get into, the weird tone of their stories, and insane design of their villains are really better suited in an animated form rather than live action, in my opinion. And this series of shorts is a great example of the potential the Doom Patrol has in animated form. They had already fared very well in their appearances in the Teen Titans cartoon and Batman the Brave and the Bold, with their episode The Last Patrol being one of the greatest episodes in that show, and one that you should totally check out if you haven't before. And these shorts only confirm yet again that the Doom Patrol's weird style holds great story potential to be expanded upon and developed in a full-fledged animated project. So it would be very cool if it happened. That's all I can say. Continuing with the weird and unconventional, Shade the Changing Man is yet another comic book concept that would excel in animated form. The concept of a superhero that instead of fighting physical tangible threats, he takes care of handling things like madness and mental illnesses is something so unique and interesting that I'm sure would make for an incredible animated show. I'm not really familiar with the character, you know. I mean, the most exposure I've had to him was through Justice League Dark, but by the looks of it, this version of the character seems to fall in line with the Peter Milligan Vertigo version of the character rather than Steve Ditko's. Either way, if he were to get a show, we'd be presented to very trippy stories, like the titular character Shade changing into a female body and experiencing sex as a woman. Okay, maybe not that trippy. Ah, shit. Fuck me. Dude, Captain Marvel is the shit, man. One of the most important comic book characters of all time. He deserves as much attention as Batman and Superman, in my opinion. And hey, he's finally getting a movie in 2019 after 80 years almost. And that's awesome. So why not give him a cartoon to increase awareness of him and win over younger viewers on the character so they're interested in him by the time the movie comes out? Why not? Especially if they get introduced to the character through a series that follows the style of these series of shorts. They just suit the character so well, dude. Its classic art style, inspired by old Max Fleischer Popeye cartoons, is really charming and a perfect fit for Captain Marvel. And just like Animal Man's shorts, these were also very funny to me. There's just great execution here, and these shorts just ooze with personality. They ooze it. Now, if I'm being completely honest here, this series of shorts is probably the one that has the most potential if it were to be a full show. To me, at least. To me, it's almost a guaranteed success. I mean, not only is it the product of the vision of Lauren Faust, who, as many of you probably know, is the one responsible for the massively popular My Little Pony Friendship is Magic series. So you know this is a concept that has the potential for real mass appeal. To me, these shorts just already feel like a full show. It has a strong cast of characters that can play off each other very easily. You honestly think that people wouldn't get down with seeing the Powerpuff Girls? I mean, come on. Okay, maybe not those Powerpuff Girls, maybe not those Powerpuff Girls, especially not those, but these? Hell yeah, man. They cool. So yeah, to me, this is probably the series of shorts that if you were to extend the length of the shorts From 1 minute to 11, it would appear seamless because of the potential that it has, and of course, also because of how appealing the concept is. I'm just saying, man, it seems to me like it would print money, basically. Then don't you like money, Cartoon Network? Who the hell is the CEO? Christina, Christina who? Come on, Christina, don't you like money? Even though I admitted that Super Best Friends Forever is to me the shorts that have the most potential out of all the DC Nation shorts, but this is where I gotta let my fanboy take over the video, because I just can't put anything else on the #1 spot other than Plastic Man. He is simply one of my favorite superheroes of all time. He's on my top 3 easily. You might not get his appeal, or hell, maybe you haven't even ever really thought about the character. But hey, you know how they say that every character is probably someone's favorite character? Well, yeah, that's it for me in this case. I just like superheroes with a strong sense of humor and who don't take themselves too seriously when it isn't needed. It just adds a layer of relatability to me, especially with Plastic Man. Being that he's a former crook, it basically makes his story a redemption story. A guy trying to make up for the bad decisions he made in his life. Besides, I can't be a self-proclaimed cartoon fan if I wouldn't like a superhero whose powers basically make him a cartoon character. I mean, if Warner Brothers ever wanted to replicate the success of The Mask and having the bonus of it being set in a cinematic universe, Plastic Man would be the guy for the job. So I remember some years back, way before DC Nation was ever a thing, I discovered this pilot for a cartoon series based on Plastic Man that was pitched to Cartoon around 2006, I believe. It was produced by Andy Suriano and Tom Kenny, who also voiced Plastic Man in the short, and designed and storyboarded by Stefan De Stefano. That's a cool name. And it was just so good. Its art style really seemed to be inspired by Kyle Baker's fantastic run of the character in his series from the early 2000s, which is just a fantastic book that you should totally check out if you're interested in the character. And its sense of humor reminded me a lot of Ren and Stimpy for some reason. I just saw so much potential in that short pilot, and I always fucking hated Cartoon Network for not picking it up. I mean, it was so good, man. So imagine my excitement when DC Nation was announced that they were gonna be making shorts of Plastic Man based on that old unpicked pilot. I was fucking ecstatic, man, and the shorts certainly didn't disappoint. But when DC Nation ended, it just left me wanting way more. Even if it would never happen since it's Plastic Man, hey, we gotta be realistic. But even if he doesn't have the mass popularity of other characters on this list, you can't deny that in animated form, he is the most fitting character of them all. I mean, again, his powers basically make him a cartoon character, so just give him a cartoon. You know, another one. And hey, if they revived a cartoon pilot from 2006 and made new shorts out of them and gave it a second chance, then who knows, maybe there is still some chance of some of these shorts being revived in the future. And besides, it's not like there isn't a good reason to do it, now more than ever. I mean, if superheroes are gonna be dominating the movies and the TV shows, the animated content shouldn't fall behind. Especially since a big portion of the audience that watches superheroes are young kids. So, again, Cartoon Network, don't you like money?
Here comes the money.
Did someone say
Here
yeah?
comes the money.
Oh, bam, baby, it's that, baby, yeah. You like that name, don't you, little bitch? Yeah, you like that shit. Yeah.